Yo, what is up guys, Chillfeet here, and just like any Borderlands 3 fan, after yesterday's hotfix, I'm absolutely in love with the LOB, and therefore I decided to take my anointed cryo LOB and make a nice build for Zane to solo whatever type of activity you want to solo it with. And I know the LOB has been absolutely insane after the buff, so you might want to give this build a try now, and I can't believe I'm saying this unironically. Give it a try before Gearbox is going to nerf the LOB again, although I obviously see no reason for them to nerf it whatsoever. One more thing before we get started with the gear and then the skills itself. A like on this video would be very much appreciated since it would help me out a ton, and now without further ado, let's get right into it. For those of you who didn't know about the LOB buff yet, Gearbox decided to increase the tick damage the weapon deals with its magical orbs to an insane amount, tripled the magazine size from 4 to 12, and on top of all that gave it a 3-round burst instead of just shooting one orb. Now, like I said, one of the versions that I have is an anointed cryo version, but cryo is not really needed for this build since we will not be going for a calm, cool and collected build this time. So you can really go with whatever element you can get when you are farming the Graveward, who of course didn't drop anything better today now that I wanted to farm for the gun, but that's besides the point, I guess. I don't even have a good anointment on my LOB for this build since you don't really have many situations where your action skill ends, and it still melts everything from regular mob enemies to some bosses in 1 to a few bursts. So you might want to try for a plus 100% cryo damage while Sentinel is active, but I don't think it's really needed here. Now, before I get into explaining the skills and show off the gear that I was using for this build, here's a quick overview for the build for those that simply want to copy the build, and I will also leave the gear that I was using in the description if you don't want to wait for me to explain why I chose specific stuff. Okay, now as you can kinda see with the title and gameplay of the video, what this build focuses on in the first place is speed, and most importantly, the damage bonus we will receive from the speed. Zane has an amazing synergy with the LOB's slow moving magical orbs and his plethora of movement speed boosting skills, action skill augments and anointments. First of all, you will boost your gun damage by 20% at just normal walk speed from 5 points in violent momentum, but quite honestly, you will never ever be at just normal walk speed while using this build. The reason for that is the combination of 4 points into the kill skill Violent Speed and 3 points from Supersonic Man alone will increase your movement speed by 12% per active action skill, obviously making it 24% when activating both the Barrier and the Sentinel, and then with the 25% boost from Death Follows Close, which will also make sure your kill skills will stay active almost 100% of the time, you will get plus 20% increased movement speed after just one kill and plus 40% after your second kill. That makes a total of 64% increased movement speed just from these 3 skills alone. On top of that, if you choose the action skill augment Bad Dose for the Sentinel, you get plus 6% movement speed for every tagged enemy from the drone. The Barrier augment Charged Relay increases movement speed by 11% for you or an ally that touches the barrier, and you can even get a shield with the anointment to gain plus 15% movement speed while your Sentinel is active, like the Recharger and Band of Sitorak shields I got, which by the way are the 2 shields I recommend, but I'll get to that in a minute. I then even got lucky with the Snowdrift Victory Rush artifact that increases my movement speed by 8%, so if you have one of those, it might be one of the best artifacts to get for this specific build, and if you don't have one of those and play on PC, you might want to join my Discord server so I can give you one of mine. Now, why is all that movement speed so amazing combined with the buffed LOB? Well, because as we all know, the orbs are moving insanely slow, so after you send them flying towards your enemy from your hip, you will have enough time to either move fast from side to side or even slide in any direction with the Snowdrift to get the maximum damage boost from Violent Momentum. And to make sure you will always get the maximum potential out of Violent Momentum, you put 5 points into Borrowed Time to increase the action skill duration for each active action skill by 30%, and just 2 points are enough from Good Misfortune to further increase the duration after every kill, and as you can see, you will be killing a lot and you will be killing fast. This is also the reason why there's no need for going down the undercover skill tree as much to get calm, cool and collected. When using a cryo LOB, it's simply not needed and you would miss out on so much more damage potential. Speaking of damage potential, movement speed and slow moving projectiles, all of this is a really dangerous combination that can lead to your own death if you are not careful enough, since you will most of the time move a lot faster than the orbs can travel, so make sure to not outrun them to a point where they can kill you, and stay away from walls or barrels or whatever so you don't accidentally hit yourself. It definitely takes some time getting used to though, so I recommend something like an iron cannon in your inventory or anything hard hitting for an easy second wind, because the damage and slow moving orbs of the LOB without the damage bonuses in Fight for Your Life can sometimes not be enough to get you back up on your feet. Another good method to avoid death is by using the all-rounder barrier action skill augment combined with another kill skill in Salvation for your much needed lifesteal and survivability, but what is also somewhat of a must-have for this build is the skill Stiff Upper Lip. This is because, like I said, you will outrun your orbs and sometimes damage yourself with your own weapon, and with Stiff Upper Lip you will build some resistance to the according element of your weapon. Okay, now since you can never have enough damage, let's shift our focus to just that and take a look at how to maximize your DPS on top of violent momentum. One of the biggest reasons this build deals so much damage is the kill skill Playing Dirty, and this just works amazing with the LOB as well. With Playing Dirty you have a 50% chance for every orb to basically deal double the damage with an extra orb, making it possible to potentially have 6 projectiles hitting your target. Now, when you're watching the orbs move, it might not seem like there are additional projectiles, but I was testing that on the dummy and you can see 2 critical hit indicators instead of 1 sometimes after equipping the skills, so don't worry, it definitely works. And to boost those potentially 6 projectiles in terms of damage even further, you can never go wrong with 5 points into Synchronicity and Donnybrook, which both work perfect since you A, will be killing a lot of enemies, and B, will have your action skills up constantly for a bonus of up to 70% gun damage. To make that number go up even higher to plus 105% at full shields, you need just 1 point into Confident Competence, and then in order to keep your shields active most of the time in case you should take some damage through the barrier, you can put 5 points into Ready for Action for a significantly improved recharge rate and delay. And I guess now you can see why a recharger is my shield of choice here, and I don't think I need to explain that anymore. The reason why I do like the aforementioned band of sitorak on this build is not only because I got an anointed version with plus 15% movement speed while my sentinel is active, but also if your shields do get depleted, you then get even more movement speed and can keep at least some of that weapon damage you would otherwise lose from Confident Competence if your shields aren't active. And as if all of this doesn't sound good enough already, I didn't even mention the Seeing Dead class mod I was using that boosts some amazing skills like Playing Dirty or Donnybrook, and with just 1 more skill point you can let your drone throw a grenade that can have an anointment like mine that increases your weapon, grenade and action skill damage by 25% for 6 seconds, so every 11th second you will have plus 25% weapon damage for 6 straight seconds. I know of course some of you don't own the DLC because this is pretty much the only reason you have as an excuse to not already have a Seeing Dead class mod in your inventory as a Zane player. But for those of you who don't have it, I suggest equipping a Cold Warrior or maybe even an Anti-Freeze class mod if you are using a Cryo LOB, or just an Executor class mod for mainly a buff in Playing Dirty and therefore a higher chance for more projectiles. The type of grenade isn't really that important, and I would just go for the same anointment I have on mine. And then for the artifact, any auto idle or victory rush artifact is recommended. Preferably though, like I said, a snowdrift artifact would be awesome in that case. So there you have it, my zero chill Zane build, and to be honest, this might be the most fun I've had on Zane ever since the game launched. Pretty excited about the buff, and I really hope Gearbox doesn't nerf it, or if they do nerf it, they don't nerf it too hard. Anyway, that's it from me. Like I said, if you enjoyed this video, a like would be very much appreciated. And if you really enjoyed it, why not subscribe to my channel for my exotic German accent or something? And then I see you in my next video.